Day. Um, okay, today, like Kayode mentioned, we'll be taking a look at the importance of prepping. I would like to say that many of you who are listening at the moment, perhaps watching, if you were told you have an interview tomorrow, maybe a job interview, or perhaps even if it's a visa interview, you got that interview tomorrow, would you just wait until tomorrow before you now start looking, let me find all I can about this company that wants to employ me. Let me prepare for what to do, the clothes, the shirts, trousers, or whatever I'm going to wear. Would you wait until the next day before you iron it or prepare it? It might turn out that when you wake up in the morning, perhaps there's no power. As a result of that, you cannot iron. What best do? You usually have all that sorted out the day before. You see, I know I have a job interview the next day. What I now do is that I prep, I iron, I look for my certificates, I look for my everything that I own or I know I'm going to need for that job interview. I get it all set so that the next day it's just a matter of picking it up, dressing, and going for that interview, and I am prepared. I do not get there in a rush. I get there on time. Life generally needs preparation. We need to be prepared for anything that we do. Sometimes you meet some people and you say, that guy is a good speaker. That guy seems to have knowledge concerning everything. We hear some people on radio, they talk, and we say, that guy is intelligent, that lady is intelligent. Watch them on television. I wish I could be like this person. This person is so wonderful. Seemingly, the person knows everything. But really, does that person really know everything? I'll tell you that the difference is. The person knew that I'm going to be on air tomorrow, and I'm going to be talking about perhaps senatorial elections or presidential elections. And as a result of that, I will now prepare myself. I will now do some research before that day. So when I'm talking with facts and figures because I have research, I have material, I have the content so which is necessary for me to actually make that presentation that day. That is what happens. So it's not sometimes I think the person is a genius. You listen to some people on radio, you watch some people on television, and seemingly they're intelligent, that they know everything. But really, that's the case. They prepared specially, they prepared strongly, they researched before that activity. I don't know if perhaps there are any of you who perhaps are parents, or even if you're a senior brother or senior sister to anyone out there, and they call you to your younger one or your ward school, and they now say, okay, Mr. John, please, you would like you to address the parents and talk about something. You will notice that person now goes there and the person begins to stammer. Some of them are beginning to stammer because the person was not prepared for that. So, how do we apply this when it comes to broadcasting? I'll quickly say we have plenty of bad radio out there nowadays. We have plenty of bad broadcasting out there nowadays. But people do not tend to understand this and they now begin to take this as standard. But if you're a well-trained broadcaster, you will understand that not all that I'm seeing or not all that I am hearing is as it should be. I should be doing something differently. I should be doing something better than what is obtainable now. When it comes to radio, when it comes to television, when it comes to broadcasting in general, prepping is key. Why do you need a show prep? Now, let me quickly answer this and tell you this. Your prep is not scripting out every word of your program in advance. Your prep is not a formula or a blueprint which you say, I've already gotten and that I must not deviate from this. Since this is what we have prepared, this is what we have on ground, I must use it as it is. No, that's not your show prep. Your show prep is basically you having a game plan. There's this particular guy, Dan O'Day, in September 22, 2011. He's also a show host and also gives lectures concerning shows. He says, I want to quote exactly what he said. He says, I know there are a few misguided souls in our business who think preparing is unprofessional. That for a real pro, he ad-libs everything. Some people think that's the way it is, that this guy is a good show, a great show, an intelligent guy. If, okay, you just come into the studio and say, we want to talk about traffic, or we want to talk about environmental sanitation, and the person just gets into the studio and just starts talking like that. That guy is intelligent. That's what some people think, that a great show host ad-libs everything. But that's not the case. If you look at radio, not just as a job, but a profession, then this is the fact that you must face. What is that fact? All professionals prepare across all professions. Imagine there's a great surgeon. He performs surgeries. If you do not know, I would like to tell you and have you know now, if a surgeon is told that perhaps he's going to be doing a procedure tomorrow, do you know that sometimes they go and get out their old school books, their old school notes? That great doctor you're looking at, they usually go back, get their old school notes and their old school books, or even some textbooks, to just go and look, or let me confirm, see, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. The man is preparing for that surgery he's going to be taking on in a few minutes, or it's going to be taking on tomorrow. For those of you who know lawyers do plenty of research before they go to court. They will study old cases that seem similar to theirs so that they can reference them. So you see, we know the law profession, we know the medical profession. So for those of us who work in broadcasting, if indeed we want to consider ourselves a profession, let's have in mind all professionals prepare across all professions. Preparing is that you care enough about your listeners, about your viewers, so that even if you're having a bad day, things cannot be nice every day. We will have issues. So even if you're having a bad day, because you prepared for the show, your show will still meet at least a fairly high level of value, entertainment value, educational value, or to give some interest to your listeners. Let me give an example of that. Think about it. If, for instance, that I was coming to I've got a show later on in the afternoon, and I was coming to the radio station, but before I came in, I quarreled with my wife, I quarreled with my girlfriend. Is it when I now get to the studio, is it when I now get to the office, that I will now take my time to start researching and getting out something that will be good? See, I will be distracted at that period. And at that point in time, I may not be able to put something together for the show that will make some sense. But if I had prepped in advance, even if supposedly I am having a bad day, my listeners should not have a bad day also. My viewers should not have a bad day also. There should be something that they should be able to gain from the show. It should meet at least a fair level of entertainment value, educational value to them. Great radio personalities, occasionally they have bad days, they have bad breaks, but guess what? They do not have bad shows. Why? Because they prepare. So, preparation is key. The truly brilliant, those people you see as being brilliant, or you see them as spontaneous, that guy, or that lady, as she go on air, all of a sudden, we're just able to take this and this, or there was a breaking news and we're able to take this and this and put it together and had a great show. Let me tell you, even if you want to be a great ad-libber, even if you want to be supposedly one of the great spontaneous people, you should prepare. When you are prepared, you will be able to take more risks. The more prepared you are, the more risk you can take. I will explain that because the show prep is your safety net. Like I said at the beginning, the show prep is your game plan. You try let's say you're prepared, you have a show prep. I had prepped prior to coming to the studio, and I get to the studio. I now hear the breaking news concerning perhaps an incident that's happening in Abuja, maybe as regards the upcoming primaries, the major primaries, major political parties tomorrow. If I hear that, what do? I can change what I have prepared for. Take note, like I said at the beginning, your show prep is not a plan that you dare not deviate from, that you dare not change. Yes, I've already prepped that I was going to be talking about the garbage in Port Harcourt. But on getting to the studio, or perhaps just before I got into the studio, there was breaking news concerning upcoming primaries in Abuja. I will now decide to go with it. Great, no wahala. But do you know, when I start talking about that, if the thing does not now seem fun, or like we say locally, if that thing no catch fire, what can I do? I will just generally leave that matter and go back to what I prepared for. So you see, even if you have the show prep, you can be spontaneous. You can go with what just comes up. You can go with anything that just pops up at the moment. But if that one is not working out, if that one doesn't seem as if it's flowing, as if it's catching the interest of the viewers or the listeners, what do? Go back to what you prepared for. So, in reality, your show prep allows you and even encourages you to be spontaneous. Take note, broadcasting is the easiest thing in the world to do badly. That is why there is so much, like I stated at the point in time, we have so much bad radio, we have so much bad television, but because it's in our face every day, people have come to take it as standard and take it that that's the way it should be. No, broadcasting is the easiest thing to do badly. But if you want your listeners, if you want the audience, if you want your viewers to actually enjoy what you do, you should prepare. Because broadcasting is easy to do, and broadcasting can be fun to do. Like good broadcasting can be fun to do. The more you prepare, the more fun you and your audience can have together. So always ensure that you just take time out before every show. Do not rush into the studio. I'll give you an example, practical example. We have some people who just perhaps get into the studio. When they get into the studio, there's usually a computer in any different studio. They just go through and just look at through. They check Guardian, they check Punch newspaper, they check Linda EKG, and they say, okay, this thing looks like a good topic to talk about. Then they now enter. They just pick up something. Linda EKG is not going to put full details. Sometimes even in the newspaper, you're not going to get a full detail concerning that thing you want to talk about. Imagine if you now get a call, let's say it's an interactive program or an interactive show that you do. Imagine you now get a call midway and somebody is saying something. Because you are not prepared for it, you're caught off guard. But when you are well prepared, somebody calls into the show and they ask the question, you're able to just reel out an answer like that. You're just able to give them the answer. Why? Because you're fully prepared for it. Where I work at the moment, I currently work for Nigeria. So for the brand Nigeria, it's cool FM of Nigeria. Before every presenter goes on air, he submits a show prep. The show prep is submitted well ahead of time before the start of the show, so the manager or the supervisor can actually go through it and see that this person who is about to go on air is actually well equipped. The person is well prepared. The person knows what the person wants to go and talk about. Not that the person, because the person has no content. See, let me give you an example of bad radio. What we get most times these days. You'll get some people who just, hello, and welcome to Morning Talk here on Nigeria Info. My name is Carl Orakwe. Our Morning Talk today, we are going to be talking about the dirty situation of Port Harcourt, the garbage that's littering the street. If you go around Port Harcourt today, you see the garbage littering the street. It should not be, because garbage is not healthy. So you call in now and tell me what you think. The person has not offered you no information. The person has not educated, he's not giving you anything. And the person is throwing open the phone line. That's what we get for most radio stations these days. All they just do just say one or two lines in the show from the phone line. I know people want to talk. I know people want to have their voices heard. But for broadcasting, for radio, what are the three purposes that we intend to serve? Information, education, and entertainment. You can order it any way you want. Entertainment, education, and information. That's what radio is supposed to do. So if you're one of those who think that that's just it, I can just say one or two lines, then I throw through the phone line. You are part of those encouraging bad radio. You should be able to give us something, and you'll be able to give us something if you prepare, if you prep for it. If I want to talk about perhaps the upcoming primaries that will take place in Abuja for the major political parties, and I have done my research, I could start with, yes, once again, we are at that point in time where the parties will have their congresses and they will now pick their flag bearer, the person who is going to emerge as the man who will be vying for the presidency of this country. I will tell you that for over 10 years, we've had a situation where the popular candidates do not win. Why? Because maybe I've done my research. I can tell you that we have seen that 20% of the time is usually so party that, why? Because I've prepared, I've done research. And when you're on air, you're giving out this information. People may not have that information. They may not have looked at it from that point of view previously, or from that standpoint. When you are educating them, you are informing them. They know they are getting something for you. Why do you think if somebody tunes in to listen to a show, watch a show, maybe at 5 p.m. every day, why do you think that person does that? The person is doing that because either meeting any of those three values, entertainment, information, or education for that person. So if your show, if your content is empty, if your content is watching, nobody will tune in, nobody will make it a point of duty, nobody will make it a religious obligation that every day by 5 p.m., every day by 2 p.m., I must tune into social and so show, I must tune into social and so station. Nobody will do so. But when you prep every day, when you ensure that indeed you have content, people will ensure that they tune in. The content has to be of value, and you've got to be able to educate, inform, or entertain the people. That's what it is supposed to be. So, if you are on my radio station and I notice you do not prep, and because of that, people will tune up from your show, you are not only doing your show a disservice, you are doing all of us who work in that radio station or that television station, you are doing us a disservice. Because if your show does not meet the value it's supposed to, it's not keeping the audience or the listeners, they're going to paint all of us with the same brush. And that is something we do not want to do. So I am going to summarize it this way. If you want indeed your show to sell, if you want your radio station or TV station indeed to be something one looks forward to joining every time, every day, you have to ensure as a presenter, as a show host, you prep before the show. Know your topic, know details concerning that subject or that topic you want to discuss. And also, if your show is going to be interactive, you do not wait until you get on air and start talking about the thing before you now know the question that's going to be your engaging question, the question you're going to use to interact with the people. All that should have been ready in your prep. You don't go on air and now start thinking, okay, so what do you think about the gambling? No. I should have planned my show beforehand, and I will now know, I will ask the people. Maybe I told myself my engaging question would be, do you think there could be a better way of disposing garbage in Port Harcourt? That, I would say, is my engaging question. So before you go on air, you already have all that sorted out. You see, your show will flow smoothly. Because sometimes you listen to some shows or you watch some shows and you notice the engagement question sounds kind of silly, not well thought out, not well planned, because they didn't do this well ahead of time. So take time out, research your topic, forget a topic, research your topic, prepare all that you're going to do, even if you're going to have guest questions, you're going to have to get, and also the one question that will be your engaging question for the listener. Have all that sorted, have all that prepared before you go on air. Now, that's that for that. I would just like to say if you're a disciplined broadcaster, you could also apply it to your everyday life. As we prep for shows, so should we prep for everything. We should prep for the school fees. We should prep for lunch. We should prep for dinner. We should prep for the family vacation. We should prepare and not let it take us by surprise. Let's have a plan. Let's have a game plan. You will notice your life will be different and people will look at probably differently. So you see, it's not only for our professional life, it's not only for our lives as broadcasters, we should also be willing, or we should also know that it's important to prep for everything we do in life. That I will leave with you with on this one. So I don't know, Kylie, anyone how have questions will come in case anyone has questions, but that's of course where I'm going to leave it at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Carl. If anyone has a question, you could raise your hand up so you'd be called upon to ask your question. While we wait for the questions, so the class has been, it was insightful, it was enlightening. I personally, I'm a big fan of preparation. I like to plan myself properly. There's a saying that if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And I like to plan. But you talked about spontaneity. That yes, you could be spontaneous. You should be spontaneous. And if it's not working for you, let's say you prepared for a show and it's not working for you, the spontaneity, you come in and there's another news you need to cover, and you find out that the it's not working for you, that you should just go back to what you prepared for. So wouldn't that affect the audience? Because I know that yes, we are here to entertain, to inform, and to educate. There's a breaking news, for instance. Somebody just won the primaries for APC or PDP. Is it not what people want to hear? Because I remember in 2012 or thereabouts when they were trying to impeach the then governor of Rivers State. It was Nigeria Info that I heard it on first. We were just outside and everybody just heard, there was a problem at the House of Assembly and they're trying to impeach the governor, there's a fight or something like that. So everybody wanted to hear that thing. So if one is not, say, prepared for that, and it's not, how can we manage that? Because everybody wants to listen to what's happening now.
Now, yes, everybody, you just said it, everybody wants to listen to what's happening now. We're on a show, or maybe, like I said, before you go on air, you already have your prep. I've already decided that from 5 o'clock when I go on air, I'm going to be talking about so and so. But just at 4:50, the breaking news is that they have, Peter Obi has decided he's no longer going to run. And we know that there was plenty of followership for Peter Obi. So I might now decide that when I go on air, rather than talk about, maybe I wanted to talk about maybe inflation in the country. I might now decide that, okay, so welcome to the show today. We're going to be looking at the case of Peter. We're going to be looking at big news that's just making the rounds now. We hear that Peter Obi is no longer going to be vying for the position of presidency. In fact, it's actually resigned from the PDP. You see, I'm starting the show not with what I prepared for. I prepared to come talk about inflation. But yeah, people want to hear about what's happening at Peter Obi. But guess what? Because it's just happening at the spur of the moment, maybe I do not have a qualified guest, because I'm not the only, take notes. Radio is not for you to go and give your views and opinions. You're not a presenter to just come and bombard us with your views. We don't want to hear your views and opinions. We want you to bring us, information that is credible. We need the experts to come in. So maybe because this came in at short notice, I couldn't call a qualified guest to come join me in the studio. But what can I still do with this particular issue? I could now say, I want to hear your views. So let's say, welcome to the show today. And we have something we just broke recently, and we're going to be taking a look at it. Peter Obi, a candidate who many people thought perhaps may be the one to break the mold concerning how things used to be done concerning politics in this country. Now we hear he has actually pulled out of the presidential race, and indeed he has resigned. This one easily I could have found out. Well, Peter Obi was first in Adga, he was governor in Anambra State, this. I say all that. So I would like to know, are you one of those perhaps Or do you think Peter Obi's withdrawal changes what we were expecting for the upcoming election? Don't forget, like you said, he was that candidate people thought would break the mold. Now, like you said, people want to hear what happened. But do you know, by the time you throw the phone lines open, you may not get as much reaction as you think you will. So that means it is not working, it's looking dry. So you can now go, well, like you said, that was breaking news, that was something. But anyway, let's delve into the matter we have today. So you see, I started with something and I saw it was not working, something really I didn't plan for, because like I said, I didn't have the guest, so I may not even have done the research, so I don't have enough material, enough content to talk about. I see it's not as exciting, or rather, like I'm not getting the reactions. I look at Twitter, I look at Facebook, for my company's page. I'm not getting reactions, and the calls are not coming in as much as that. I see all that. I could also, well, that was breaking news, and so. But let's go back to system. You have to be fluid. So that's where your skills as a presenter also comes to play.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Carl. I will call on Itare, thank God. Itare, unmute your mic and ask your question. Mr. Itare, can you hear me? Okay, I'm guessing he can't hear.
Are you sure he can unmute himself? Is it open for everyone to be able to unmute themselves?
Yes. Itare, if you can't speak, you could type your question quickly, if that's possible. Okay, I'm assuming he has probably network issues. Okay, sir. You can't unmute. Why?
If you have a universal lock on to mute everyone, you have to release him so that he's able to unmute. If you have a universal lock and you have everyone muted, you have to free him so that he's able to unmute.
Okay, so there's a question in the comment section, in the chat session. Somebody's asking, if prepping is not a formula or script writing, what exactly is prepping then?
Prepping, like you said, is knowing that I have a game plan, I have something that I will use, something that will serve me. That's what prepping is. It's not a formula. It's not as if when you have that thing that is written, that, okay, they're giving me this thing. But I've noticed, of course, Nigerians like a formula. That's why also, if perhaps I'm lecturing and I never give definition. Nigerians want you to just give them one definition, so that formula on which, so anytime you ask them, what is radio? Everybody will give you that definition from each side. That is not what it is. That is not what it is. So show prepping is not a formula. Show prepping is that I am equipped. I know what I want to talk about. Let me quickly give this example. Have you noticed that, so maybe right from your childhood, when we have quarrels, when we have arguments, then they bring, like you say in Nigeria, they bring somebody to judge the matter. Sometimes there are some people who win. They usually win that when they talk, even if they were the ones who were the troublemakers, they were the ones who were wrong. But by the time they talk, the elder or the senior who is trying to judge the matter, now they have that, okay, yes, you did well, and you are the person wrong. The reason those people are able to have supposedly to win the case is they are coherent. They are able to put things together. So that's the way somehow your show prep helps you. It helps you also put things together before you go on air, so that when you go on air, you are coherent, you are logical. Things follow And you don't put C before A. You don't put B before C. That's what a show prep helps you to do. Have a game plan, and so you are in order. That's what a show prep does.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carl. Itare, try to see if you can ask your question again.
I see Itari is also the host, so if Itari cannot unmute himself, I don't think anyone can do it for Itari then.
Yeah, I made him host, thinking that the problem was from my end. So I was expecting that should solve the problem. But clearly, it's not solving the problem. Okay. Does anybody have any question to ask Mr. Carl? Can you all hear me?
Yes, boss, we can hear you.
Okay. In the absence of any more questions, sir, do you have any more thing to tell us, like your concluding parts? I'm guessing you're done with the session.
Yes, I'm done. But before I leave you guys, I'll just quickly say, a whole lot of people want to get on radio, a whole lot of people want to be on television. They look at it as, oh, we love what these guys do. I like to be a star. If you want to do it and do it well, you will have to make some sacrifices. You also have to be very disciplined. The person who is a broadcaster still studies. Education did not end for us at university or perhaps any tertiary institution. Every day of my life, I am reading. I know a little bit of this, I know a little bit of that. You know why? Because I'm a broadcaster and I will have to be on air here or there. Even if you're going to be a public speaker, you need to be informed. I cannot say because I'm in engineering or perhaps because I'm in marketing, all I know is about engineering or marketing. I need to be well read so that I have details and I'm able to apply this in anything I do. So you see, the job of a broadcaster is not ended. So all some people just see that flamboyant for that. I heard him on radio, I saw him on television. All they see is the glitz and the glamour. But that's not what it is. It is hard work. And it's for those who fail to realize that it is hard work, that's why we have bad broadcasting as it's obtainable plenty these days. So ensure that you are able to basically prepare, ensure that you are disciplined, and ensure that you're one of those who want to do things right, not looking to cut corners. That's the way I'll end it. Carry
it. Okay, sir. So there's a comment in the chat session. Can you please just attend to it? Somebody's asking, good afternoon, sir. I'm about to coach you correctly. You always tell people to keep pointing in the right direction. He's asking, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, that's my own, should I say, my own signature phrase. Now, it wasn't born out of nothing. And it is not born out of the fact that perhaps I'm nicknamed the point man. No, the point man comes out of me asking you to point in the right direction. That one is a matter of always standing for what is right and always keeping with what is not flowing or not going with the crowd. So when I tell you, come what may, no matter what may happen, always ensure you keep pointing in the right direction. So forget what people will say. Forget, that the entire they might perhaps also look down on you. If it's the right direction, ensure you keep pointing and you keep heading in the right direction. That's just what I think.
Okay, sir. Mr. Itari has dropped his question. He's asking, will your preparation engage your audience when you have poor delivery and content?
Unfortunately, no. But here's the thing. If you have been an examiner before, You know everything carries some marks, right? So just think about it. I'm a terrible presenter and I didn't prepare. I don't have content. What will people listen to? But so I was score 0. But here's another one. I am a fabulous presenter, but no content. So maybe my show might score 50%. But here's another one. Maybe I am a terrible presenter, but I have great content. So you see, at no point in time there is your show meeting 100%. So you shouldn't be a terrible presenter and have no content at all. It's going to be totally 0. We try to make up for what we don't have. But also, I must say this, that's why radio presentation, or even to be on television, broadcast, not for everyone. You must not necessarily be on air. But that's the thing, like I said, everybody just sees the glitz and the glamour. Some people are meant to be backroom staff. Some people are meant to be producers. In fact, back in the day, what we usually get in most media houses, you get some people, I work in Radio Nigeria, I'm a producer. The producers are the ones with all the content. The producers are the ones who create the show. Then the presenter, sometimes let me tell you the truth, people who do not know anything, who are just the fine voice, the fine face, they just come and they meet a script and they present. That's what it used to seem like. But these days, everybody produces his own content and we present. Companies, media houses are not employing producers separately and presenters separately. Most presenters are their own producers. So if your presentation skill is bad, look, it doesn't to you. So it will not help you. Presentation is not for everybody. Not everybody. Some people are meant to be behind the scenes and not actual presenters. So if you're not a good presenter, if I'm your manager, I can't put you on air. You can contribute and help the station in some other way, but not to be on air.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Carl Orakwe. I don't think we have any more questions, so we are very grateful for the opportunity, and we have learned a lot from you today. So we are saying thank you today, and would be bringing the class to a close. There's no problem. Thank you very much, sir.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you also for having me. I'm happy I could join in on the class today. I see a message, Stephen. Thank you very much also.
Okay, let's all go back to the class.